Hi Divas, welcome to Wanda's Workbasket for all things creative and crafty with a little bit of inspiration mixed in. Just wanted to show you today, I'm going to give you some instructions on a simple pamphlet stitch. Now I know there are plenty of other YouTubers out there who have done pamphlet stitch, and we all have our own little quirks. Alright, so for this I need my tapestry needle and I need lengths of cording. Now cording, like I said, for this one I'm going to use the twine. This is from Ollie's actually. It was 89 cents for cotton twine. 200 inches with cutting blade. That's not a cutting blade. That's just a piece of plastic. No, I guess it does have a cutting blade. Look at that. Looky here. Even has a little hole in the front. All right, anyway, you don't have to measure it. You have to at least get 3 lengths. All right. I do 4 because I want to have enough to bead. So I'm going to do 4, and I need 3 of those because I had 3 booklets. So 1, 2, 3. Don't have to be exact, doesn't matter. All right, put that aside. Another thing that's nice is clips because they hold things. I got these, a whole bunch of them from Temu. So that's kind of cool. So what I want to do is take 1 length of the thread, twine, yarn, whatever it is, take my tapestry needle, try my hardest to get all of those pieces in through the end of the tapestry needle. If you do not, then you're going to have a mess. Now, if you have a whole lot of trouble doing that, you can use clear nail polish and create an end on it. You can use a little spit. I don't generally like doing that because you don't know where the twine has been before you got it in your mouth. But anyway, all right, so you do that and you leave a tail. You have enough for a tail. Not a big deal. Now, general wisdom says you start in the center. I'm not generally wise. I want it all to end up at the top because that's where I want my beads to end up. That's where I want all my extra. See? That's where I want all my extra to be, at the top. So I'm going to start and end at the top. All right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stitch, let's see, it's an in, out, and then you wind your way back up the same way. So you're going to go in and out the holes twice. So what I want to do, all right, so I want to go through the back of the book at the top. I told you I'm different. I do everything different. Do everything just a little bit weird. All right, so now I find the hole, and I'm going to come through, yank it through. Okay, and I'm going to leave a tail. You can always pull it back, but I'm going to leave a tail because that's for the beads and for the tying. All right, I'm going to go into the next hole. Can you see that? I'm going to find the next hole in the back of the book. Pull it through. Leave that tail. Okay, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to go from the back of the book this time because that's where my thread is. I'm going to find the same hole in the booklet. Easier said than done. Pull it through. Be sure you're not making a knot. And make sure you don't pull your tail. Same thing all the way down. In, out, in, out. Make sure you're getting it in the center. Make sure you're pulling it tight. You can always pull it tight from either end, as long as you have cording. All right, and I'm going to go in the bottom. Oh, center, where are you? we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, right through. All right. So at the very bottom, I want you to see this. Now, obviously, you can't go back down into the same hole you just did. All right? You don't want to do that. So I go around the whole bottom edge, and sometimes you have to untwist the thread because that helps with you not getting knotted. You have to go around the bottom, stick it back in from the opposite way, and you're going to do that all the way up. It's going to go in and out the opposite way it did before. I like having, it's going to be a little tighter this time, I like having that extra protection at the bottom. And you're going to have it at the top too when you tie the two together. Okay, I like having that extra bump at the bottom. I just do. It keeps the spine nice and tight. All right, so now, again, now I'm thinking while I'm doing this, this is going to be a thicker thread, and I'm going to have a thick thread through the center of my mixed media book. Okay, that may or may not work with whatever I'm going to put on those pages. It'll be okay for the others, you know, because sometimes you want to do a whole 2-page spread. It may or may not work with this side, but I'll make it work. I'll just have to make it work. All right, so, and then because you're going to see a thread all the way up because you're in and out of the same holes. See what I mean? You're going to push down, make sure it comes through. And you're going to do the opposite. So all the way up the back, you're going to have a thread as well. Why isn't this going in? It doesn't want to go back through the hole. It's just being particular. This is not easy on your hands, folks. It's not easy on your hands. It wants to go in between the other pages. It doesn't want to come straight up through the center. I don't know why. I'm feeling it. Sometimes it's easier to feel it than to look at it when you're doing it. Okay. It's not an easy process. With thick thread and thick pages and a thick book back. Okay, so now I'm going to go back through the top one to the inside. All right, so now I have two strings at the top. I took the needle off. I have 2 strings at the top, and I'm going to tie it together now. I'm just going to tie it here. Now, the thicker the twine, the harder it is to string it through beads. Gotta be honest with you. Some beads just do not like that. I'm going to do it a granny knot. Right over left, left over right, and sometimes I even do the third one. But I'm just going to leave these strings hanging, and hopefully they will not get in the way. And that's another way these clips can come in handy. You can clip the thread to the top of the book so that they are out of the way when you sew the other 2 journals in. And this is nice and tight. It's nice and sturdy. Nice. I'm not worried about the back of the book crumbling because of course I reinforced it. All right, so the next book and the next piece of string, please. No, it doesn't matter that they came out uneven. I don't think it matters because I'm probably only going to use one to do the charms on anyway. When you do every one of them, you get this thick mass. No, this is every other one. Okay. You've seen some of the journals I've done where every one of these, for 2 for each, both of these strings are full of beads, and you know what? It gets too much. It gets to be too much. 1 per signature is enough, I think. But anyway, I'll show you what to do with them later on. All right, doesn't matter whether you start in the front or the back. It don't matter. Just put it through there. I know. All right, so you're gonna grab the needle, pull it through, make sure you have a tail. And it can be a fairly long tail. I don't like to make it super long, basically just enough to tie it off easily, because the other one will be the long one to dangle the charms on. All right, in and out, all the way up and down. I'll do this and I will catch you on the rebound. I think I forgot to tell you in the other one, if you've done this loosely, you can see that it's pulling away from the edge a bit. If you've done this loosely in the beginning, you need to tighten it up before you come around and do the second stitching. You need to keep it tight. Otherwise you won't have enough string and it'll be really loose in your book. You need to keep it tight. And see what I mean? If I had a pointed needle, it would, when you jabbed it in, it would try to make new holes instead of sliding right through the holes that are already there that I created for it. So I like a blunt needle to do that job. And of course, the last one is always the toughest. For some reason. Get this out of the way. That's because I doubled the thread over, and then I'm going to tie it off. And this one doesn't have as much. Left over right. Right over left. I used to call that granny knot. Alright, now I have the two, and they will be out of the way when I do the last book. When I'm sewing in the last one. See, now I've got two in there. And why is this not... If you don't get it lined up right... Oh, look at that. Look at that. I wasn't careful, so now I have to untie that. Jeez. I wasn't careful. That's what the problem is. Glad I didn't do this 3 on. Alright. This is where you might need your seam ripper. Or... I stick a needle through the knot. It's a fresh knot. It hasn't tightened itself up yet. See, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. But at least I show you how to correct them, right? Anyway, you try to get the needle in through the middle of the knot. Loosen it up. And I really did a good job on tightening that. Holy cow. I thought there wasn't enough thread, and I don't know why I didn't stop myself then. This may be a time when a pointed needle might be easier. Nope, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. I loosened it. I loosened it. See, it's possible. Yay! Here we go. Alright, so, ta-da. This was the second half, I believe. So I need to come inside and pull it tight this way. Pull it tight that way so that I have a complete solid spine, and now I can tie it off here. Once again. Ta-da-da-da. See, you know, it's a junk journal. Don't worry about mistakes. They're always correctable. If you have too much thread here, doesn't matter. I'm gonna chop it off later anyway. Alright, so now we have the two. I always think I don't have enough thread to stitch the thing up, but I always, 4 is more than enough. Usually it's recommended for 3, and then you don't have a tail. You don't have too much to tie off on the inside. I like 4 because I like to do the beading with it, so no big deal. And everybody's different. Everybody has their way of doing things. I see at the bottom that it's getting a little chewed up. But that to me is part of the character of the book. I'm not going to worry about it. Now I have the last spine to create. Can you tell I've been sewing for millennia here? It doesn't matter if you start inside outside. Just make sure that your signatures are right side up when you are sewing them in. That's the other thing you want to do. Make sure all your signatures are right side up as you sew them in, because that is a more difficult mistake to correct. That you have to correct in the embellishment stage. I mean, you could cut it out and re-stitch it in if you catch it before you start doing all kinds of things to the cover and all that, but I'd rather catch it now and not have the problem later on. And the only reason I am mentioning these problems is because, you guessed it, because I did it before. Because I've done all these mistakes before. I'm not perfect. My goodness. And I don't pretend to be on YouTube. Because I don't think it serves you if I pretend to be perfect and have everything awesome and then it not come out well for you, and I don't want that to happen. All right, I mean, look at all the Crafty Fails. If you're on if you come onto our Tuesday night live, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday nights, most Tuesday nights, or the occasional Saturday. Sometimes I do Crafty Fails if I have nobody to interview or nobody coming on as guest or whatever. I will do Crafty Fails. I'll look up some funny fails to show you times when it didn't come out the way it was supposed to. All right, here we go. Now we're nice and tight. We're in nice and tight on the back. There we go. I'm going to put this back on, the needle back on its piece of paper here, on its piece of fabric here, to keep it out of the way, because I have a tendency to lose needles too, of course. So now what I have to do, I have to tie this up at the end. Ta-da, 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 right over left, left over right, nice and tight, and I have plenty of tail. If you don't ever want these to come out, you can do a drop of glue on each of the knots before you start beading. That's another another trick that I do. I put a drop of white glue on that and let it dry before I start beading. So now I have the only thing that, this is going to be a problem. This is a mixed media book, okay? So the problem is going to be, didn't know it had two covers? How the heck? It does. This booklet has two covers. Okay, I can cut one of these covers off. I don't need both. Heavenly days. It was stitched in that way, guys, in their original thing. So, I don't need the bulk. Which is what I'm trying to say, is that mixed media is a lot of glue and paint and gesso and all kinds of things. So there's going to be enough bulk in each of the signatures here. Come on now. You need the extra space. This booklet is going to be standing open like crazy when I'm done. This probably should have been just a two signature book, because you're going to add, look how tight I did that one, because I'm going to add a lot of stuff between the pages, and as it is, it's not going to lie flat until I clamp it, but that's okay. That's the way I wanted it. I have plenty of other mixed media journals that I can do something else with, but you're going to learn as you go how much space you need between them and how much space you need on the ends. Now, what I do, I'm going to do some mixed media stuff on the inside and outside of this journal too. I'm not worried about the inside of the spine showing at this point, the interfacing or whatever, because I'm going to be gluing stuff down over top of it. All right, I don't care what the cover looks like, because that will be amended as I work on this journal. It all depends on the theme of the journal. Now, I'm going to show you it goes much, much easier with your own signatures rather than bound, pre-bound thingies here. One of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to use each of these lines that were naturally in the folder as part of it. But what I want to do though, too, and I have a score, tool on here, not a cutting tool, I have a score tool on here. I am going to make another, okay, so that's where that line is. I'm going to make it smaller because I can. So I want to bring this in a little bit, maybe just enough on each side. I'm going to line the first one up with that. And I'm going to put a dent in here. There, I got an extra dent. I'm going to do the same on the other side. It makes the cover just a little bit smaller, but I don't care. Okay, that's where the original is. So I need to bring that one out to here to even it up. I'm lining it up, this side of it, against where the original fold was. That way I get this nice and straight when I do it this way. Okay. So now I made the binding thicker. I need to make sure that it folds on those lines. And this is where you may want to reinforce the back of this book, because this will pull out. This will pull out. Okay, and I want to make sure it folds nice on this line. Okay. Tight. I still need 5, not 6, so I have to decide which one of these I'm not going to put in. Yes. Nice. And the cover is still going to be cool. The cover is still going to be long enough to cover the goodies inside. Awesome. It's also too long this way, top-wise. I don't need that much space at the end. How much space do I have at the end of this? It's the longest one. The longest one. I don't need all that at the end. I'm going to cut it off. Let's see. Make sure I have enough. Can you see what I'm doing? Hope I'm not doing it out of shot here. Making sure the top and bottom are even because I can't get it all in my cutter at the same time. Yay, I got it off. Ta-da! All right. Yeah. There we go. There we go. So now what I need to do is cut a piece of cardboard to go down the center. All right. Just do the inside of this writing book. I also use what's sitting right next to me. I don't go out of my way to like go dragging stuff around. All right, so now I need it to be the front and back just slightly smaller than that. And I'm going to have to be gluing it in. All right, where's my pen? All right, there's my mark. I'm going to line it up flat. I don't want this on the outside. All right, so I'm going to poke the holes in here after this is glued on and dried. Okay, I'm going to use these as guides and poke from the outside in. And then that way, this will be the strength. This will be the strength. And then I just have to decide how I want to sew them in. These are easy peasy ones. I'm only going to do a 3 pamphlet stitch. I'm going to do the center. I'm going to do toward the bottom. and toward the top. Easy peasy 3 stitch holes. I just need it for the center. Just need to find the center. Okay, it can be wider, but it can't be shorter. Wider, but not shorter. And I'm all right. Bend it in half. Doesn't matter which way I bend it, just as long as I bend it in half. Alrighty then, there's my spot, my center. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Gotta find the center this way. There's the center. The exact center. And then I'm going to do it close to the top and close to the bottom. Again, I'm going to bend this down to the degree I want it from the top or bottom. And then draw it across. I want the other one to be the same distance, so I'm going to bend it at the same place. And the only way to make it square is to make sure that your ends are, you know, square that way. And then this way. And yes, it makes it weaker, but this is just the template. Probably the bigger awl would be better because bigger holes, at least this way, bigger holes in the template make it easier. Okay, that's my template for the center. Okay, for the center of these signatures. All right, I'm going to put them aside, and again, the first thing I work on the back. And if I'm going to use this, okay, if I'm going to cover, I'm going to sew the signatures in first and then cover it completely over top of the string. I can use this as the outside. See? Whenever I glue this down, I can use it as the outside of the book instead of the inside. Why would I want to do that? Because then I already have the lines drawn, sort of, on the inside. That's kind of the way I want to do it. So if I do it that way, then this will be hidden under whatever I'm going to cover the journal with. And I think that's the way I'm going to do it. Just making sure it's going to be a little smaller than the actual width of the outside. All the way down. All right, let me go get my glue. And I'll come back to you after lunch. And we're ready to put this thing together. Just a couple more. I'm going to show you how easy it is to poke through the center of a randomly made one. Now I want to make sure that I get most of the pages in. I want to line this up so that this center is the center of the cover, and I want to make sure I have enough pages at the top and the bottom, right, so that they all get snugged in. There will be one or two that won't be connected, but that's okay. That's one. That's how easy that went through. Pop right through. All right, and you can see 1, 2, 3. Now if you have small embellishments in there that are going to slide around a lot, you'll probably want to put 5 holes in it. But I don't really want to do that. I just want to make sure I find the center of the signature here. Okay, and I want all the goodies kind of centered in there as much as possible, so that I get as much in, okay, as I can. I'm going to find the center first. Jab that in. If you put your ending ones closer to the center rather than as far apart as I did, you will have no trouble catching all of the pages in together. Okay, now I just want to make sure that this is lined up nice, and that's really all I do. I just make sure that everything's lined up nice so that I can catch as much as possible in the stitching. Not going to be perfect. It is, as I keep saying, it's a junk journal. As long as you see that it's going all the way through. Yep. Okay. You hear me talk about Daphne's Diary. That's the cover of this particular issue. See, now there's some smaller pages. I'm just going to shuffle these into the center a little bit more because they have a tendency to move down. Okay, there we go. All right. Some will get in there, some won't, as long as they're all within the center of the largest page. Okay. And that did not take nearly as long. It didn't take nearly as long as those heavy-duty pages did it. Look at that pretty thing in the middle. Isn't that neat? And then you got the waves of the alternate. Okay, so this is a smaller, smaller one, but it's gonna catch for the most part. And like I said, I should have maybe done this closer to the center, the end too. But I don't care. It's a junk journal. It is what it is. Okay, those are the signatures for the inside of that file folder booklet. Alrighty, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back at it again. Again, this is the file folder. I want to do the 5 signatures. I put some washi tape on the outside of this because to let this dry. Paper with glue on paper is a little wibbly wobbly, but it'll straighten out once I'm working on it. And I'm going to leave the tape on here till I decide what to do with the cover, just so that it keeps the edges of this extra piece down. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do this on the book because, yeah, I made, all right, okay, so let me get the book back. Yeah, let me get the book back. And I am going to line this up exactly with the edges like I had it, and exactly along one of those lines that's already in there. I'm going to line this up and poke. And you can poke it through the center of the book if you want. And make sure you stay on the row, but I wasn't on the center of the book. That's why it's not as easy. Okay. Slide it over. Get that lined up to the center of the crease so it's easy. Get this lined up right on the line. Unfold it and poke. Poke, poke, poke. Now I hope that they are on the line. Yep, pretty close to it. So when I do that to the next one, I do that with all 5 lines. I'm going to show you what I do with the teeny tiny ones too. I'm going to do a teeny tiny journal after this. I like the teeny tiny ones because they're so cute when they're done. Oop, that didn't get on the right one. Ooh, that did not get right. So I have to be very careful. Aha, it slid, that's why the problem is. Be very careful then when you're stringing them in. It weakens that line there for you, and that's not helpful. That's the 5, and I've done the signatures. Now I need to measure I think what I'm going to do is 1 green in the center and 1 of these on each side, just for fun. Okay, I'm going to do 4, and I don't do an exact 4 either. I just grab, pinch on either side. 1, 2, come on now, my finger slipped on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I said, 3 is enough. 4 is extra, but I do that because of the beadwork. And I want to do 2 pieces of pink, 2 pieces of purple. All right. So again, I go back to the needle. I pick out the center. I'm going to use the green as the center and stitch these in just as I did before. I'll probably speed you through this because you have seen it. And I think that's why some people start in the center, because then the pages stay aligned, so you can get them right in the holes. That's the only problem with the variety of papers and not having them completely stitched, completely poked through here. Come on. If you do it too tight, you do stand the chance of the paper breaking. And when I first started this, I could not sew my pages at all because they kept breaking. I'm a seamstress, so I know stitch lengths and tension and all that kind of stuff. I know how to do that. But it wasn't working at all. Found out it was my machine's problem, not my problem. Alright, so it's in the center, it's on the right holes, it's nice and tight, and now I'm going to tie it off at the top. Now I want a pink and a purple. I think I'm going to do the two pinks on the inside and the purple to the outside. Now down here, I didn't go to the very bottom of this. I didn't flip it over the bottom. One of the reasons for not doing it that way would be if you don't have that extra strong piece at the very end. I'm going to do it at the top though because it's only supporting beads. As long as you do it the same way every time. Okay, as long as you do it the same way every time, you're good. The next one on this side is this one. How's your summer going? It's like 90 to 95 to 100 around here. It is hot. Celsius, Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit, yes. Not Celsius. It is hot. and we're not always used to that. I don't like it so hot. It wouldn't be bad if it weren't so humid. We really get the humidity as well, and that makes it feel hotter. I will show you some sewing techniques on the sewing machine though at another time, because I still like to use the sewing machine, and I really like to use it for embellishments and things. I don't necessarily like to use them for sewing in signatures. This way, make sure your signature is right side up all the way through. Do you ever do that? Do you ever talk to yourself? Do you ever talk to what you're working on and say, can't do that, you must? I have a lot more patience with people than I do things. If things are not going the way I want them to, like mechanical things, I just don't. I have no patience. I have no patience for objects who don't stay where I put them. They just go off and fall down, or don't stay where I put them for some reason. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Of course, doing the beading and stuff will be under a different video. I just wanted to give you the pamphlet stitch version, and to remind you, you need to decide before you do sew them in as to what you're going to do with the cover. Are you going to cover over the backing with the strings? Are you going to leave it plain? With the candy boxes, I like to leave it plain. It's just fun. the way it is. Some of these I may leave plain, these little dinky ones. I'm going to be doing some of them. These books, I'm going to be leaving it plain. There might be another time when you know you're going to be covering the whole thing. You're going to cover over the strings anyway. That's cool. You can do it that way. You can do your cover completely, finish your cover, decorate it and everything before you string it up. You just have to decide what you're doing. If you know kind of where you're going with the cover, it makes it easier to know when and how you're stitching. If you have a theme, like this one doesn't have a theme, but it had the purples, pink, purple, and some green as part of the stuff that I used in it. So that's what I used, pink, purple, and green thread in the center. And I don't even mind that pink, that bright pink piece of cardboard sticking out. I just didn't want the edges to be popping off until I was finished. And that's why I left the washi tape there. It went through the washi tape, no big deal. So that's that. It's a flimsy cover for sure, but so what? I don't even know what I'm going to use it for yet. I can even use this as an insert into a bigger or heavier book. I have cardboard from a box that I want to use as a cover for something. This could be a finished insert that I slip in that I can use as the inside for that fancier cover. That's an idea. If I do that, I'll make it as a different video and I'll show you. But right now, I'm going to get back to making them. I think I'm